with our interview for today. So I am thrilled to be joined by Morgan Hornman of the Morgan Hornman Show, and also the founder of the Grove of the Gods podcast on YouTube. In full disclosure, I was interviewed for Grove of the Gods a couple of months ago, and that video has finally come out on YouTube. So if you haven't seen that yet, check it out on my page. But welcome, Morgan. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here. It's kind of fun to be on the other side of the questions for once.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, driving the bus has its privileges, but sometimes it's nice to just hop on and go for a ride, right?
Exactly.
Wonderful. So why don't we start out with who you are and a little bit about, your history, where you live, like what you do, what size shoe you wear,
All right, I got all that. I can get through most of that. You might have to remind me where I'm at.
Okay, you're fine.
So I've been pagan pretty much my whole life. Had a conversation with the trees when I was about 3 years old down at Camp Galahue. It's a Girl Scout camp over in Morgan County near Indianapolis. My grandparents were senior troop leaders, and so I spent a lot of time in the woods. And that was just where I connected to the land spirits.
Sure.
Fast forward, I pretty much became attached to the horn god at a young age through the Aboriginal beliefs, through Wankantanka, and just by my own connection with the land. And that evolved as time went on to Hearn, to Kiernunos, and now to Pan. And I've been a priest of Pans for 2 decades now.
Praise Pan.
Praise be to Pan.
Yes.
I have been, let's see, we'll just fast forward to the involvement in the pagan community thing.
Sure.
Let's do with where I live first. So I currently live at Faewood Grove, between Nashville and Columbus, near Bloomington in South Central Indiana.
There you go.
It's a spiritual retreat and sanctuary. We host events here, 2 events. 2 pagan events a year, actually more than that, but 2 major festivals.
Right.
We have Gaia 2023, which is coming up in the beginning of May. It's devoted to the divine feminine. It's on Mother's Day weekend, and we need to celebrate women. We need to celebrate the divine feminine. We need to share that ecstasy, that knowledge, and just join together in worship of her. It's pretty much a Gaia weekend for me. And that's what we need. We need to celebrate the gods and the goddesses, and having a festival devoted to the goddess is something we need in this area. It definitely is something we need in the Midwest.
Well, and I think it's a beautiful time of year to be recognizing the divine feminine as well, and
right.
the great union, which speaks to the absolute and necessary balance of the masculine and feminine, right?
Exactly. And that's why it's just after Beltane weekend and on Mother's Day. So it matches up pretty well. And then in June, we have an event called Feast of the Horn God, which is devoted to the divine masculine, which is the weekend after Father's Day, which is the weekend of Midsummer. So
Yeah,
we're nailing it pretty well, and we're covering both because they both need, there are mysteries and magics that apply to both that need to be enjoyed, shared, communicated amongst everyone, because we're all dual. We all have both in us, and we need to connect with that. So we do those festivals, and then I also have a coven that we run out of here called Tribusovo. We stream on the Saturday closest to the event. It's a non-denominational coven. It's very much a coalition of community of solitaries, where we emphasize everyone has your own path. We join together for community. Our worship, our rituals are not the main focus of everybody, but it's a time to join and have a common experience and come together and work for greater things as a group. There are lots of things we can do in celebration of the Lord and Lady and the world around us by ourselves, but there is something about having community. And then we stream those rituals as well on Tribusovo, and We also have a YouTube channel for it.
Oh,
I have like 6 YouTube channels. Um,
well, I'm going to need to get with you because eventually when I have enough of these build up, I want to turn them into a YouTube broadcast. So I just want to make sure I have more than one before I get my wheels spinning. So
I totally understand. I'd already, Grove of the Gods had been more of a variety show before, and now we're just kind of focused on this and we're moving forward with what we've got. I'm going to be working on, so I jumped ahead, didn't I?
that's all right. Time and space. What is it anyway?
I have ADHD. I jump all the time. So basically, Grove of the Gods is an interview series. Pagan Voices is to give voice to people who are in the pagan community, who are doing things, who are reflecting their values, reflecting their lives, and doing the things that they need to do to move forward spiritually, and learning about their story, hearing where they've come from, some of the things they've gone through, looking for some tips to share, things that might help. One of the things that I try to ask about is self-care. What do you do for self-care? That's the kind of thing other people want, especially when you're brand new on the path. And it's having that shared experience of, oh, wait, I went through that.
Yes.
Or I've always wanted to learn about that.
Exactly.
And just providing that to the community because our resources are limited. And I want to make sure we have a very good balance of representation of the pagan community on YouTube, on Facebook, on social media. I have a TikTok as well. I forgot that part. But yeah, it's about providing that representation and reflecting the spiritual paths and the spiritual growth that we all go through. Talking about the things like when you go through a step up and you kind of do a power up, that whole glow up thing, you're going to go crazy for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You're going to lose your mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't worry, it'll pass.
Well, and on the flip side of that, often we find that our deepest dive into our shadow and what it reveals to us is just this side of our level up. Yeah. Because that's where transformation occurs, right?
Right. Well, and you have to go through it because mentally, psychologically, emotionally, you have to shut off the chaff. You have to remove that exterior skin of emotions, knowledge, social programming. All of it has to come off because every time you level up, you become a brand new person.
Yes.
And you need to leave those things behind.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, and it's just helping people understand that they're not crazy, that these are things everybody goes through. It's just nobody talks about them.
Right. Yeah, because we all think that somehow we're the one-off, right?
Right.
Like everyone else is like just out having a happy fuzzy bunny experience with the whole magical spiritual thing. And we're like, oh my God, what's happening?
Right. That is not at all what happens with shadow work.
No.
There ain't no fluffy bunnies unless they're on the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
Excuse my coffee. But
you're fine.
I'm very focused on enabling people in their path and helping people find their path. I am not a traditionalist. I am an initiate of 4 traditions.
Right.
And I've started a couple of my own.
Indeed.
But at this point, 30 years later, because I've been doing organizing in the pagan community for 30 years now.
Yeah.
I'm going, don't follow anybody else's path. Do your thing.
Right.
Because for one, we don't need a priest or priestess to communicate with the goddess and the gods. Okay. They're nice to help give ideas and inspiration and facilitate group work for larger goals, but we are all responsible for our individual paths and our individual connections. I kind of call myself a Protestant of paganism because I'm going, you don't need an intermediary. You don't need somebody to talk to the gods for you. You can do it just fine yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely one of those things that I think is good to find a balance in, is the importance and desire to do the self-work, right?
Right.
Versus validation within community. I think there is benefit from being in community, because I think if you practice too long as a solitary, you lose the ability to see outside of your own practices.
Right.
And there's also a certain amount to be said for when two or more of us are gathered together, our magic becomes exponential when focused on a specific goal or intention, right?
Absolutely. And it's to glorify the God and goddess when we join together in more than one.
Absolutely.
Whether it's no matter who's there, if there's more than one, there is a joining of the divine.
Yes.
To move everyone forward.
The divine within is the divine without, after all.
Exactly. So, and then let me go a little bit longer on Tribe of Sovo.
Sure.
It's very much about, we work with the harvest cycle, and ultimately what we do is we reflect our lives within that, but I take it a little bit deeper.
Right.
And what we're talking about is in August, when we've reached that part after that first harvest, we need to stop and congratulate ourselves and appreciate ourselves, give ourselves thanks, and acknowledge the hard work we've put in to get into that point. And we forget those steps. We forget to love ourselves. We forget that self-care because we're so wrapped up in where we're going forward, what we're trying to do. If we hit an obstacle, whatever's going on, we're hard on ourselves. We need to stop that. We need to be gentler on ourselves, acknowledge that nothing will ever be perfect, acknowledge that there is growth in everything, and that your best changes every day.
Yes.
You give your best every day. That changes, not giving your best. If all you can do is lay on the bed and watch YouTube for a day because you're just depressed, that's the best you can do. And that is the glory to your Lord and Lady, because you're doing your best. And that's really the important thing. Yeah. Even when you think you're not, you are.
Right. Absolutely. Putting expectations on ourselves to reach the end goal immediately, right? Instead of, every journey begins with a single step forward.
Exactly. And when you hit that obstacle, it's not a problem. It's just another step in the process.
Yes, absolutely.
Because you're going to have obstacles. Nothing goes perfect. Nothing.
What?
If you do anything, something's going to go wrong.
Yeah, sure.
Only way to keep anything from going wrong is to not do anything.
Yeah. Well, and in that very not doing, you're going wrong somewhere.
Right.
Because the purpose of life is to be lived, right? Not to disengage with the process.
Exactly.
So tell me some of the ways in which you've benefited from walking a spiritual path.
So I have been on I got sober 32, almost 33 years ago. And I've been walking this path since. And what it is about is it's about growth. It's about reflection. I am not the person that started this path.
Right.
And I change daily. It's brought me community. It's brought me pain. It's brought me insight. And it's brought me discovery. The connection I have with the world around me is wonderful and amazing. I have a very wonderful life here on Faewood Grove because we've established basically a pagan church. We currently have 12 shrines that are active and being maintained. And it's a moment when we're back to actually touch and talk and communicate,
Right.
and having the reassurance and knowing that it all comes down to me. I get boosts and help, but ultimately I have to do the footwork
Right.
in everything I do. In everything I do. And that's what I talk about kind of with Morgan Hornman show is I talk about each episode is a step on the spiritual path forward that we walk. A lot of the books on paganism and Wicca and witchcraft and everything are very focused on the specific rituals. They're focused very much on the mythology. They're focused very much on the overall overarching ideas, but they don't talk about the steps it takes to get there. They don't talk about working on appreciation, working on self-acceptance, working on your intent and things like that. And that's what those episodes are. Those are walking people through the steps as you progress to actualize. But I'm not saying you have to do this. I'm saying this is why you want to do this.
Sure. Yeah, just presenting bite-sized tips and information that people can discern for themselves whether or not they're valid to them and their practice or where they're at in their journey, right?
Exactly. And my stuff on TikTok is a lot more easily consumable because I make sure that it's all a minute or less.
Right.
So it's just a really quick bite of this is what you need to do to deal with toxic positivity. This is how you need to go through life to deal with this. This is the approach you need for this. And it's really nice and bite-sized, but I've got the full episodes on Facebook and on YouTube.
Sure, absolutely.
But it's all about growth. It really is.
So you are obviously in a mode of creating what you want the world to view, right?
Right.
Who do you view? Where do you get your inspiration, or who really lights your fire right now as someone that you can emulate or appreciate?
So I really kind of I watch Abraham videos because very that much in alignment with where I'm at. And alignment is very important, and that's part of what I start out with in the Morgan Hornman stuff is talking about alignment and how important it is to put yourself in that.
Right.
There are a couple others that my brain won't let me remember the names of right now. I follow some folks on Facebook, Jason Mankey, and Jenny, formerly known as Silver Raven Wolf. I can't remember her last name now. Trainer. And there's a few others, but my brain won't let me remember.
Sure. Actually, yeah, Jason is the co-author of the book Modern Witchcraft with the Greek Gods, right? And Estrella Taylor, who is the other co-author of that, lives here in Dayton. So
cool.
My passage to Hera, my dedication to Hera, appears in that book, along with about another 8 or 10 practitioners who have made a life study sort of out of worshiping the Greek gods. So I was honored to be able to be included in that, and I'm hoping to meet Jason in person. So far we only know each other on Facebook. So
right on. I look forward. I hope to meet him at some point. One of my goals is to get him to the Feast of the Horn God. Well, Feast of the Horn God came from, and Gaia both came from an event called Horn and Honey, which was devoted to the god and goddess.
I'm here. I don't know what's happening.
That's kind of wacky.
Yeah.
But hey, it's cool Paisley, so we'll go with it.
There we go.
Horn and Honey originated from a desire to, it was an event devoted to Aphrodite and to Pan. because of the person that was originally organizing the duel.
Right.
And so when I left where I had been holding it, it was easier and more specific, not easier. It was more, it just made more sense to split it into two events.
For whatever reason. Yeah.
Yeah. It just made it sense to make it Feast of the Horn God and Gaia, because when we bought Faewood Grove, we moved here in August of 2020. Okay. So we bought close to the beginning of COVID. Right. And we got down here, the first two shrines that went on the land, the very first shrine was Gaia. Yeah. That was the first deity I ever worked with from the age of 3. I knew that the trees were part of her. I was raised by my mom and her lover, and I was raised to believe in the divine goddess. Right. Yeah. I was also raised Unitarian, so I was taught to build my own belief, so it all works together. And then the second shrine that was dedicated here was to the Horn God. Yeah. Because those two are really what drives my life and what drives what I'm trying to do. Part of what we do here is try to bring people closer to the nature so that they can relax, listen to the trees, talk to them, have a place where they can feel safe, meet other people who worship the same gods. And part of the idea of having so many shrines is that it allows people to find the other worshipers of those gods. Yeah. And like the people, we have an Aphrodite shrine out in camping. She didn't like where we had her. She wanted moved. So now she's in camping. I wonder why. Yeah. But now the people that are Aphrodite followers can camp near her. Yes. And there's a small grove that we use for moon magic that I call Selene's. And so that's a really good place for people that do that. And then we have Eris, our fire pit. Yeah.
Yeah, a beautiful way to get it all separated and yet interconnected as a space, right?
Exactly. That way, everybody has their connection to their god and goddess, but we're all mixed and mingled, and we share all of that together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Having the fire pit at the Eris shrine and naming it Eris. Yeah. Brings that energy, but not in the destructive way.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because, well, for one thing, the reason why she caused the Trojan War was because she wasn't invited to a party. So we make sure that she's at all of our parties.
Absolutely.
That way she doesn't get mad.
Yeah. Indeed. One cannot slight a goddess and get away with it after all.
Not very well. It gets pretty ugly for you.
So tell people how they can find out more information about you and your events and your podcasts and like all the moving parts of what it is that you do.
Absolutely. And I have another thing that I need to bring in. Because Pagan Pride Day. I organized Indianapolis Pagan Pride Day from 19 out of the 21 years of its existence. Right. And I'm currently working to get it rekindled, re-energized. And we watched it go. Our first year of Pagan Pride Day, we had 20 people there. The last year of Pagan Pride Day in Indy, we had 3,800.
That's amazing.
And it was the 4th largest single day pagan event in the United States.
Right. In
the middle of Indiana.
Well, and I imagine that there are people out there chomping at the bit to get back to that event now that the shutdown is over. And
and we need folks to help come organize it. We need folks to become officers. We need folks to take roles and responsibilities within it because I need out of it.
Right. And are you looking for local people, for people who can help online? How is it?
I'm willing to take anybody I can get right now because, well, the event is that large when it's actually in place, and we can't pretend to be a small event.
Right.
I got in trouble for that already. City Parks Department is not one of my biggest fans, so we definitely need other people involved in the event. Yeah. Because apparently I underestimated. I don't know. But
Never underestimate the pagans.
right. But we need folks to come in, because after 19 years of doing that, I need to walk away. It needs fresh blood. What I want to do is set up a structure and an organization that will run without me and be the mentor for a year.
Right.
And then I'm done. Because
Well, and there's always fresh blood coming up in communities, so it's not an undoable task.
exactly.
Put it out there and then put it in God's hands and allow the person that is a fit to that to present,
Exactly. And at some point I'll be making videos on how to organize Pagan Pride Days, because it's my understanding that National's kind of fallen apart. So I will be putting together an educational series on how to organize your own event like that. So that'll be coming up soon as well. But you can find me at faewoodgrove.com or gotglive.com. Then we have on YouTube, I am at Grove of the Gods, at Morgan Hornman, at Faewood Inn. And that's on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Also at Horn and Honey doesn't have one. We have a really good YouTube for Faewood if you're interested in learning and seeing the progression, because when we took over the land, this was just a house with a bunch of trees around it.
Okay.
And we have put in an entire campground. And so far, our largest event is almost 100
small
people.
Task.
We did it in a summer.
Oh, that's amazing.
If you watch the videos, you can see the progress. And it's just really crazy watching how much we were able to get done and how much we were able to manifest within the first year through hard work and working with the land. One of the things that we do, we are very devoted to not killing nature. And while we put in enough roads to have cars drive back and drop off stuff, I've put in 20 loads of gravel. 20 dump trucks worth of gravel in the backyard.
Right.
That was over 2 years. But taking all of that, we worked very hard to not take any trees that were alive that were larger than my wrist. I believe we took 6 that were alive that were big. Everything else was standing dead or just already laying, or we went around the live. So we could work with nature, because nature's not straight lines. Nature's curves and meanders. And you have to work with that. You have to recognize that. And it's not about imposing will upon the world. It's about being a part of the world and blending into the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's how we did that. And you can watch all that progress on our Faewood Grove YouTube. And
I'll definitely have to check that out, because it is part of my long-term mission to have a retreat center. And barring buying an existing campground already, there's a way, right? So I'll definitely be checking that out. For anyone who is watching this now or in the future, I'm going to have Morgan drop his social links into the comments underneath this video once it posts live to the Facebook page.
Absolutely.
And then the recording will be available for your consideration shortly after this broadcast. So
awesome.
We're about out of time here, but is there anything else that we have not talked about that you would like to talk about before we end our program today?
Come out and check us out. We have work weekends where and pretty much if you come out and volunteer, 4 hours gets you a day a gate pass for any of our events. Where I make sure it doesn't have to be a specific day. It's 4 hours equals 1 day of gate. It's very simple, and you can pay for other people's and things like that. So, my whole goal is to make it affordable for people to come out and do this. I make sure that all our events are low cost, because we're already paying a mortgage, so that's not a concern. What we're making sure is that we cover the porta potties, we cover the performers, we are able to give some gas money to the presenters and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
it's very much about getting people to come out and participate, enjoy. I want to share the beauty, the peace, the bounty. Come down, talk to my Pan shrine. Come talk to, we have an Athena shrine, we have a Pan shrine, Dionysus, Hecate, Hermes, Aphrodite, Eris, Gaia, Corn God, Persephone, Hades, Demeter. We have a water shrine, Selena.
Yeah, in case you
range.
guys don't know, like from here in Dayton, Ohio, all the way along the Highway 50, give or take an hour each direction, are several magical communities, each of which have acreage and shrines and sacred circles and events and drum circles and communities. So yeah, if you're not in the loop, get in.
Yep. Come on out. We love visitors.
Come out and play.
Come out and play. Exactly. Please. I love meeting new folks.
Yeah. So either one of us would be happy to chat more about that at some point in the future. If you're interested in events or festivals, anything like that, PM one of us, we're down to chat about it.
And to find me on Facebook in my normal account, it's facebook.com/Eldari, ELDARI. And we'll include that as well.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. I'm afraid that's all the time we got for today. Morgan, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm hoping I'm going to see you around a fire sometime this summer. So
I'm hoping.
I know, right? I definitely will be attending one or both of the large festivals for Lothlorien this year because it's their 40th anniversary.
Right.
So maybe while I'm that direction, I might have to swing into Faewood Grove and say hi to my friend.
Absolutely. Please do. Please do.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for all of you who joined me today, or will see this broadcast in the future. Once again, my name is Maria Schell. Keep it magical, keep it real. And until next week on Witchy Wednesdays at 1, I love you like mad. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.